Classical music reviews. Mozart eine kleine Nachtmusik. The official name of this piece is the Serenade No. 13 for strings in G major, and it was composed by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in 1787. Mozart himself gave the piece its nickname, when he jotted this name down in the log book he kept detailing all the music he wrote. Beethoven, für Elise. This piece was never published during Beethoven's lifetime, and it wasn't even discovered until 40 years after his death. As a result, no one's quite sure who the Elise of the title was, and some musicologists even think the title might have been copied incorrectly and it was originally called Für Therese. Due to the music's simple yet catchy melody, there have been countless reinterpretations of the piece, including a cubist rendition and a jazzy cover. Puccini, O mio bambino caro, from Gianni Schicchi. It comes from his opera Gianni Schicchi, a one-act opera all about the lengths one family will go to make sure they inherit money from an elderly relative. An unlikely source for a melody that has become famous as one of the most romantic ever written. J.S. Bach, Toccata and Fugue in D minor. It has become associated with scary moments in horror films, perhaps because it famously made an appearance in the opening credits of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 1931. Beethoven, Symphony No. 5 in C minor. This symphony by Beethoven opens with perhaps the four most famous chords of all time, the famous Da-Da-Da-Doom. Some critics have suggested that this opening represents the sound of fate knocking at the door. Who knows if that's what Beethoven had in mind, but what's beyond a shadow of a doubt is that this piece has come so famous it's even featured in pop songs. Vivaldi, The Four Seasons. The Four Seasons is actually a group of 4 violin concertos by Antonio Vivaldi. Each gives a musical expression to a season of the year. Listen out for the chattering teeth in winter, the dramatic storm in summer, and the arrival of the hunt in autumn. All 4 of the concertos have become world famous. In fact, you may well have even heard this piece being used as a ringtone. Bizet, Carmen. What many might not know is that Carmen was a pretty groundbreaking opera in the 19th century. Bizet was seen as quite the rebel for having set his music to such a risque plot. But the opera has gone on to become one of the most successful ever written. Johann Strauss II, The Blue Danube. The Blue Danube is the commonly used name for Johann Strauss II's Waltz by the Beautiful Blue Danube. The Viennese connections with this song has made it almost an unofficial national anthem for Austria. However, film lovers might recognize it from Stanley Kubrick's epic film 2001, A Space Odyssey, 1968, where it's used in the stunning opening sequence. Ravel, Bolero. This tune was made famous when it was used by Torval and Dean for their gold medal-winning 1984 Olympic performance. Ravel's music was actually originally composed as a ballet for the Russian dance Ida Rubinstein, so its rise to 20th century fame through Torval and Dean's ice skating routine isn't far from what the composer intended. Delibes, Flower Duet from Lakmé. The Flower Duet is from Léo Delibes' opera Lakmé, and the composer is a bit of a one-hit wonder. But that one hit has become a super hit. This duet is now one of the most famous ever written. It is traditionally sung by a soprano and mezzo-soprano, but its rise to fame has resulted in many different interpretations of the song. Thank you for listening and see you in the next videos.